This video is going to be about Bitcoin, obviously, but why I think everyone is, well, not everyone. There may be a possibility that we're getting the narrative wrong on Bitcoin. So let me explain. Everyone is always like, when they reference Bitcoin, what do they reference it as? They say it's digital gold, right? Because it's supposed to hedge against inflation, systemic risk, blah, 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 blah. Well, I think that's very possible, but I'm going to be kind of the devil's advocate here and say inflation is not always bad. I think the problem is, and you saw this a lot with what went on during 2020 with, you know, rioting and lockdowns and the groupthink and the hate between the two political systems. I think it boils down to kind of like a communist socialist type system that we're kind of going into, where the government is a big purchaser of goods and services and blah, blah, blah. I think that's not necessarily the problem. I think that the problem is we have like a corporate socialism program, and we're still doing the trickle-down economics. Now, if you flipped all of that system on its head, right, and instead of bailing out Delta and the banks, and you saw this with Occupy Wall Street, if you flipped it on his head and, you know, gave the stimulus purely to people, and you said, go start businesses, we believe in small business, we believe in the individual, we don't think a corporation is a person, we think you're a person, and the people we want to support is the little guy. And they gave all the stimulus and they directed it towards restaurants and small businesses and individuals, and they gave out entrepreneur loans at low rates, and instead of just giving out like, well, let's bail out every airline, when they bought back stock purchasing and blah, blah, blah. And so how that relates is like all those riots that you saw. I think there's multiple levels to what's going on here and why people are so unhappy with everything that's going on. I think they are unhappy with Trump, but I think there's a lot of underlying problems going on, and that may be systemic racism, but then it goes even further. Then you have disparities in income. You got like this corporate welfare, social welfare program where, you know, if people get some help from the government, they get called lazy and pathetic and losers, and they're not trying. But then like you give companies welfare and everyone's like, whoa, this is great, we deserve this, we're the backbone of the American economy, which is complete and utter, you know, baloney. But, well, it's maybe not baloney. This is just my opinion, obviously. Everything's on Call Me Hunch's opinion, okay? This is not financial advice, by the way. So I think Bitcoin is not so much as like, you know, well, inflation is going to get out of control, even though I think that's the problem. I think it's also, there's an aspect to it where it's like kind of like a rebellion, where it's like, well, if you're not going to think about us, we're going to leave the system, right? We're not going to participate with you anymore. We're not going to fight you. We're not going to go to war. We're not going to use all these, you know, machine guns that we have stockpiled in America. We're going to form our own economy, and where it's fair and there's more democracy, rather than like, you know, we don't get a vote on where the money and the stimulus gets to go in, right? It's just a bunch of old people in a room going, it goes here, it goes there, and it's highly inefficient. You know, the bottom portion of Americans, they don't get their fair share of the stimulus. And so what happens is, it's possible that inflation occurs and only the rich can keep up, because it's a corporate welfare inflation. It's not like inflation that gets offset because you got your fair share of the stimulus. So I think I'm going to go ahead and say I'm on the other side of this. I don't think inflation is going to get out of control. It's possible that it does. Right. And I've had my moments where I'll tweet and like, oh, there's inflation, blah, blah. You know, the cost of goods. Look at that milk jug. It's $5.25, not $3.25. Okay, I get it. Okay. Then you got the conservatives who go crazy. It's like, look at these extra taxes on my gases. I'll fill up my tank. I'm like, you don't drive anywhere. Okay. Relax. And plus, it's good for the environment. So I'm on the other side of this inflation thing. I think it's wrongly targeted stimulus and inflation. I think we've got these enterprises that we considered people, and they can buy off our politicians, which, what is the Supreme Court thinking? I don't know what they're thinking. But anyway, Bitcoin was born from the Wall Street bailouts, okay? And what you're seeing is like, it's coming around again. Okay, it's the same thing happening, and so Bitcoin is the poster child for rebelling against this, and it's going to continue to happen. Okay, because we got the rich who don't who call the people who get the stimulus lazy, and they don't work hard. If you can't make it in America, you can't make it anywhere. Okay, that's a load of crap. Okay, you guys are getting bailed out more than the poor people. Okay, you whiny babies, go get your rattler. Okay, go drink your mimosas by the pool and shut up. Well, don't shut up. Everyone has a voice in America. But I'm just saying, maybe consider the other side of it. It's not just like Bitcoin's going up because inflation is bad for the bottom half of America, which is what Anthony Pompliano talks about all the time. But I think he's right to some degree, but I think it's wrong to say. I think we need to spend our way out of this bubble, or not out of this bubble, out of this conundrum that we have with Trump and the Republicans, and the, spending and cutting taxes and all that. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to cut taxes, you got to spend less, bro, or you got to grow a lot more, and it's not going to happen in this economy. Okay, we're fully vested economy. We're going to grow at a slow rate, and that's okay because it's sustainable. We don't want to go through the highs and lows of a new emerging economy. Okay, because then you got like pirates going around stealing gold and crap. You don't want any of that. All right. Anyway, call me a hunch. I got a hunch. You don't. Follow me. Hit the like and subscribe button. These videos are, cool.